Imagine a world where the most terrifying monsters are not creatures of fiction, but real people living among us. These are the stories of the world's most notorious serial killers. We start with Jack the Ripper, the faceless terror of London's Whitechapel district in 1888. His gruesome murders of 5 women and taunting letters to the police have left his identity a chilling mystery. The killer appeared in London's Whitechapel district in 1888 and murdered 5 women, all prostitutes, and mutilated their corpses. Although many suspects have been named over the years, the killer has never been identified. Next, we delve into the horrifying story of Jeffrey Dahmer. Dahmer started killing in 1978, just 18 years of age, and wasn't arrested for murder until 1991, after a would-be victim escaped and led police back to Dahmer's Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home. It was there that some of the gruesome details of his life of killing were seen via photos of mutilated bodies and body parts strewn across the apartment. In all, Dahmer killed 17 people, mostly young men of color. The next evil on our list outlines the horrific details of Harold Shipman. Harold Shipman, also known as Dr. Death, is believed to have killed an estimated 250 patients. He served time in prison twice, the first time for molestation and the second time for murder, and was killed by a fellow inmate in 1994. This doctor practiced in Greater Manchester, England, and between 1972 and 1998 he worked in 2 different offices, killing all the while. He wasn't caught until a red flag was raised by several people, including an undertaker who was surprised by the sheer number of cremation certificates Shipman was a part of, along with the fact that most of the cases were elderly women found to have died in bed not at night but rather during the day. Police mishandled the investigation, and Shipman kept killing until he got greedy and tried to concoct a will for a victim that named him beneficiary, which led the victim's daughter to become suspicious. He was finally convicted in 2000 and committed suicide while in prison in 2004. Chicago has had its share of killers, but perhaps none more haunting than H.H. Holmes, the pharmacist who turned a hotel into a torture castle. Ahead of the 1893 World's Fair, Holmes moved to Chicago and started outfitting a 3-story hotel with all manner of nefarious contraptions, including gas lines, secret passages and trapdoors, hallways to dead ends, chutes to the basement, soundproof padding, and torture devices strewn throughout a maze. The gas allowed Holmes to knock out his guests before the worst of what was to happen came next, often on his surgical tables. He then burned the bodies in the building's furnace, selling skeletons to medical schools and running life insurance scams. In all, he copped to more than 30 murders, found only after a fellow scammer turned him in for falling short on a financial agreement, before he was hanged in 1896. One of the world's most prolific serial killers might still be out there. Pedro Lopez is linked to more than 300 murders in his native Colombia and in Ecuador and Peru. After Lopez's arrest in 1980, police found the graves of more than 50 of his preteen victims. He was later convicted of murdering 110 girls in Ecuador and confessed to 240 more murders in Colombia and Peru. The monster of the Andes didn't even spend 20 years in prison, as he was released in 1998 for good behavior. More than 20 years since, his whereabouts remain unknown. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, comment and leave a like. Until next time, Criminal Minds.